Our education and promotions panel also includes Anne Marie Ward. Anne Marie is Minnesota's agriculture in the classroom, and she's passionate about agricultural literacy and cultivating collaborations that empower educators and advocates to help students see that there is a place for everybody in agriculture. Growing up in central Michigan on a hobby farm with great diversity, Anne Marie's appreciation for agriculture blossomed through 4-H. She worked on baling and harvesting crews. She raised her daughters in northern Minnesota, along with an extensive number of show chickens. In addition to production and market birds, Anne Marie recently moved to southwest Minnesota, where she enjoys helping with the cow-calf operation on her family's farm. Anne Marie's work in youth and community development has continued to blend her passion for education and agriculture. In 2019, she joined the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom Foundation as the executive director. Anne Marie works with the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom team to create opportunities to empower educators to infuse agriculture into their classrooms. And in 2024, Minnesota in the Classroom impacted 88% of Minnesota's public school districts, in addition to private and homeschool connections. Please welcome Anne Marie to Bean Days 2025.
Well, good afternoon, and again, thank you for this opportunity. Heather and I were having an enjoyable morning meeting with some of you and having a chance to share our stories and learn more about our individual programs. First off, I'm going to jump in and share a few more personal things that Heather and I have in common. We are both 4-H moms. How many of you in this room have been engaged in the 4-H program yourself or with your children or grandchildren? How many of you feel that time management was some benefit of being involved in that program? I feel like the 4-H program really pushed you to change maybe some of your practices that you had at home and get you engaged in lots of different ways. Another fun fact about Heather and I is we have crazy attached to our title within our 4-H and our family circles. I am the crazy chicken lady. If you did not know you can artificially inseminate chickens, call me later. Heather, I learned today, is the crazy pig lady. We have taken a collection of livestock into schools before coming into our roles with agriculture in the classroom. We both have felt a great sense of passion to use Ag in the Classroom resources before we became employees of this work and organizations. So when I say we are passionate about what we do, that is not anything but an understatement, because it is our use of these resources that we want to bring to your attention today that has led us to where we are. So again, thank you for inviting us here today. You will see that our vision and our mission with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom is not that much different than North Dakota's. Our vision is that agriculture is valued by all, and I would say all of us in this room are on the same team with that. The mission of Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom is to increase agricultural literacy through K-12 education. Our best way to do that is to make sure that we have educated educators that know how to bring agriculture into their classroom. Our focus is not on agriculture teachers. They're required to teach agriculture in their classroom. Our focus with Ag in the Classroom is to work with your classroom teachers, kindergarten through 12, to help them infuse agriculture into lessons they're required to do. One thing that you need to understand about Ag in the Classroom and that national umbrella is our matrix of resources meets state academic standards. So when you turn an educator onto Ag in the Classroom resources and lessons and all that curriculum that lays there, not only, as Heather said, is it free, it helps them check the boxes they're required to check in every state, okay? Minnesota's structure is a little bit different. Heather is employed with the Department of Agriculture in North Dakota. I am with the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom Foundation in Minnesota. We are a public-private partnership with the Department of Agriculture, creating the third leg of our stool, and that is our programming. That is where the meat of the substance comes in. Our team consists of, as you will see on the left side of your screen, Sue and Carrie are educational consultants. They do an amazing job of helping create curriculum and training educators and the next generation of educators. We have 3 resource specialists you'll see there in the middle who take out different quadrants of the state of Minnesota to reach out personally and virtually with educators across the state. And on the right side, you'll see Brandy Wilcon, who's our program director. I'll talk about her particular program, Farm Camp. And then Ann Vogt, who helps me produce career videos that we create with real farmers in Minnesota to show students that there is a place for them and the never-ending growing opportunities for their future. Okay. I think you got this point already. Empowering and inspiring K-12 educators to use this context for learning. Here's a quick little, I don't know how old you are, but to me this is kind of Tetris. Fitting in all that we do. Programs and resources for K-12 educators across this top, workshops and webinars. We give an Outstanding Teacher Award that gives them money to use in their classroom, also to attend the National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference, and agriculture and literacy and first-year teacher grants. So again, you heard from Heather, grants are an important aspect of how we can support the mission and get things moving for educators in their classroom and in programs, and teacher tours. Every summer in Minnesota, Ag in the Classroom hosts multiple days of teacher tours. We get these teachers together, we pregame with them on what the day is gonna look like, we put them on a bus, and we go visit agriculture, industry, and farms. The middle section, curricular resources. Heather touched on the curriculum matrix, and again, it meets state academic standards. They can search by standard, they can search by grade level, they can type in beans and see how many lessons they get. And Minnesota has a growing virtual library. That third component there, the Ag Mags. We look different from state to state. Agriculture in the Classroom is not unique to one state, but each state is unique. So Ag in the Classroom has print resources in most states and online resources. We have our farm camp, we have virtual field trips, and farm and food book week or month. Teacher tours, educator advisory teams. This is the way we get the voice of educators into every piece of resource and curriculum that we create in Minnesota. Educator workshops means when we train teachers in Minnesota, the average educator in Minnesota is in their career for 14 years. That is nothing compared to how long you're in your career of agriculture. But when we are working with educators, it makes a big difference to them. If we can train one classroom teacher to bring things forward into their classroom, that one teacher can potentially impact hundreds of students in a school year, multiply that by 14 years, and we're starting that ripple effect. This is an example of our summer teacher tours this summer, The Hands That Feed Us, Orchard to Market, Farm, Fiber, and Fabrication. Lots of great things we learned there. 72% were from greater Minnesota, and I never stay outstate. I feel like greater Minnesota says enough for us. Summer teacher tours look a little different each year. You can read some of the quotes on this page. What I will tell you is, yes, we do this every summer, except the summer of 2025, because Minnesota is hosting the National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference the end of June in Minneapolis. And we are doing not 4, not 3, we're doing 10 traveling workshops at that national conference. We're anticipating over 550 educators or administrators from across Minnesota, and I can tell you that Northarvest has a place at the table. Yes. Northarvest has been supporting Minnesota agriculture in the classroom for 36 years. Your best asset and resource is at that table out there. Jennifer Hansen has done amazing things to help agriculture in the classroom across the country and for your organization. We have 2 particular resources on the National Curriculum Matrix that is published by Northarvest. That's pretty cool. There's not many organizations in either of our states that can say that. That's bringing your industry as content experts to a national platform to educate in educator workshops across the country. That's how you make a difference. Financial support, boy, we need it and we appreciate it. But when you as content experts can come to the table and say, we've got something to say about that. We've got something we feel teachers need to know. That's why partnerships are so important. In-service workshops last year, we had 427 teachers intentionally come to in-person in-service workshops. Virtual and person expands beyond that, and I can explain that in a little bit. When I say pre-service, 295 students. Those are college and university students who are starting to become classroom teachers, who are learning before they're even in their first classroom how to use Ag in the Classroom resources. Regardless of what state they go to, they can find those lessons and they can apply them to what their state mandates are. We have an educator advisory team in Minnesota. They are our board of directors in a way. When we produce an Ag Mag, when we produce they call them posters, I call them placemats. When we produce something like this, we give them to real teachers who have real students in their classroom and say, tell us what's right and tell us what's wrong. Tell us how we can do better. And they do. They get vetted, and if you look in the fine print on the back, you'll see the teachers that went through and vetted these. These are the teachers that say the paper can't be shiny because kids can't use crayons on it. These are the teachers that say we prefer this term over that because it connects better to our curriculum. Using the voice of the educator to create resources that we want educators to use is a best practice in Minnesota and across the country. Looking at these curricular resources, I cannot stress enough, and I know Heather would agree with me, the National Matrix is amazing. When you go to the National Ag in the Classroom website, you'll find us all by state as well if you're looking for our contact information. But you can search, again, by subject, beans, corn, canola, cattle, whatever you want to search. And it will pull up a ton of resources for you. Food for thought. This is a really big one. My ask to you, if you do nothing else in the years ahead, I guess two things. Tell at least one person every month to check out Ag in the Classroom because they probably have answers. And secondly, when it comes to your mailbox, complete your Ag census. Completing your Ag census and turning in that information is how every aspect of this industry and educating about this industry gives us accurate information to report for every program that supports you, for every teacher that we're trying to educate. Food for thought, and again, Heather and I both have resources out there. The one out there with lots of maps on it, food for thought is a lot of things to think about. This is supported by the Minnesota Alliance of Geography Educators in Minnesota. Even National Geographic has had input into these pieces. This is one piece. What you're not seeing here is when you dive into this lesson on the Minnesota Ag in the Classroom website, you will find so many maps. Even if you're not a map person, you're gonna love this. These maps are layerable. You wanna see where the railroad tracks are, you wanna see where the canneries are, you wanna see where the freezing plants are at, you can layer them all. If you're looking to see what that county next to you is doing in corn, wheat, and bean production, you can dive in pixel by pixel and see what's being grown on that land and for approximately how many years. It's amazing. So I challenge you, go get lost in a map on Food for Thought and see what's happening. Monthly focus areas. Okay, monthly focus areas. This month is January, and it's Ag Innovation Month with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom. Super excited to share with you that Ag Tenacity out here with the really cool looking drones, right? We were doing a professional development just this last Tuesday with teachers across Minnesota, and 5 other states joined us. And we had Devin from Ag Tenacity talking about his drones and doing some videos. Teachers were blown away that the agriculture industry is using drones in all the diverse ways they're using it. Then we had a professional from National Ag in the Classroom come on and show them, here are all the lessons that are free to you to use to talk about technology innovations in agriculture. If you want to see more from a student perspective, next Friday at 1 o'clock, Minnesota Ag in the Classroom is hosting their monthly field trip, and it's with Devin out there, and he's gonna show all the students, and we're focused on middle school and high school students, just how amazing drones can be, the efficiency, and why you'd want to consider that as a career as you move forward. So again, another way that we're able to bring it all in. I touched on our ag mags a little bit. From state to state, we're all different. We have ag mags in Minnesota, kindergarten through grade 6. So they come out twice a year, spring and fall. They're free. They're updated every 3rd year. They're refreshed, make sure we've got the newest information and statistics in there. And again, you can get one or you can get enough for the whole school. I always tell people the thing I was told when I was a consumer of these materials working with youth development, order as many as you want, just don't dust them. Order all the resources, hand them out. Lots of great things going on there. Our virtual field trip has a ton of things going on in our virtual library, so any of those virtual field trips you can find on our virtual library. Again, Jennifer and I talk about this. The most impressive one I ever experienced was the one on mushrooms. I knew nothing about growing mushrooms. I know that my farmers can get their corn out of the ground in 100 days. 10 days to harvest your mushroom crop? What? There's a lot of environmental control needed in there as well. So a lot of great virtual field trips from tons of different industries. They're 30 minutes in length. We have impacted over 10,000 students, that's an unduplicated number, in 478 classrooms already this school year, so that's pretty exciting. Farm camp, gosh, I'll try to keep it a little tighter on time here, but Farm camp is a 3-part experience for our 5th through 12th graders in Minnesota. And when somebody from my team calls you to say, would you want to host? I hope you say yes, because we need ag hosts across the state of Minnesota, and I can almost guarantee that you're gonna start seeing more things in the years ahead from North Dakota now that they have Heather. Farm camp is a 3-part experience, again, 5th through 12th graders. The first part of this 3-legged stool is an in-class learning experience. We work with the educator to find out what are they working on in that classroom, and here's a lesson that corresponds to that standard that they have to meet right now. The second part is we line them up with one of you. We line them up with an ag host that says, bring me a busload or 3 of kids, and let's share with them. And then we're gonna ask you, we're gonna say, Mitch, how did you get here? What did your career journey look like? And we want them to learn that not everybody's career journey was a straight line. Anybody in here have a straight line to what they're doing today? I don't think so. Everything changes. The third component of that is career exploration. Because if ag in the classroom and you as producers and growers are not talking about careers in agriculture, I can guarantee you the teachers and the school counselors are not doing it. So you need to be talking about your industry, supporting those that are providing accurate facts about your industry, and bringing educators into that conversation, that there's a career for everyone in the future when it comes to agriculture. I'll put a couple quotes up here, but the number of students impacted, we can only fit so many in so far. There are tons of barriers to do just about anything, and if it's something like this, I can tell you the #1 barrier is transportation. We have taken care of that. We do have some grant funds from the biofuel industry, thank you very much, to support transportation to get these students there. So we've had great years. We started during a pandemic. It was crazy wild. Everything was virtual, and now we do both. It's pretty awesome. I already touched on food for thought, but again, 42 static mats and a ton of interactive online maps for layering. You're gonna love this, even if you're not a map nerd like I am. Tons of great resources. So, condense it all. Our school year last year, so fiscal year 24 for Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom, unduplicated numbers, we worked with 149,534 plus students. Those are the individual numbers that we can account for the students. And again, as you heard in the introduction, 88% of Minnesota's public school districts are impacted by engaging with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom. We work hard to provide experiences with impact to help our students see that there's a place for them in the world of agriculture as they're looking at careers, and helping our educators understand that it's a conversation that needs to be had. We also work with a collection of organizations throughout Minnesota that use our resources. There's other resources out at the table that show you how Minnesota rates in crop production and gives you some nice maps. Fun fact, NRCS in Minnesota uses a ton of our resources to train their new employees. And they want into those classrooms too. They want to be sharing the story of conservation. They want to be sharing that they will be looking for employees indefinitely to do that work and to share that message. Coming to Minnesota, as I said, in June of 2025, we are super excited to be able to host the National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference, that there's already a table with Northarvest Bean's name on it, and that the whole curriculum matrix nationwide has materials and resources specifically from your organization representing your industry. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for all of your work and your passion, yes, and for making our work possible, for helping us work with our passion and the teams of people, whether they're staff members, they're volunteers, they're industry professionals just like you. It makes a difference when you share your story, when you invite people to do those farm tours, and when you share your passion as well. Thank you for the time today. Heather and I always look forward to questions, but I will preface that as we've got stuff and resources on the table. Make sure you get our contact information. But thanks to Mother Nature, we have to also kind of make some tracks sooner than later. So thank you again. Reach out to us anytime. We're easy to find. Search agriculture in the classroom and pick your state. And Heather and I welcome your questions and your support.